Caster Semenya's day in court, the decision of the European Court of Human Rights, and what it will mean for her and for international elite sport. England's FA tells transgender men if you want to play next season, you have to say you're a woman. That's part of their new trans policy. California to Trump, no deal. The nation's most populous state will continue to allow trans girls to participate in sports. We'll meet a golf nut who found her way back to the links while she was also finding herself. And Karleigh commentary tonight on the human drama of athletic competition. Hello again, everybody. This is Transposition Sports. I'm Karleigh Chardonnay-Webb. Breaking news to start tonight. The European Court of Human Rights Grand Chamber upheld a previous decision saying that South African Olympic champion Caster Semenya was denied her right to a fair trial in previous actions within the Swiss Supreme Court, where she lost an appeal in 2020. The decision of the panel of 17 judges rendered Thursday voted 15-2 that the Swiss Supreme Court violated the two-time Olympic champion's human rights under Article 6, Section 1 of the European Convention on Human Rights.
Aux yeux de la Cour, les particularités de l'arbitrage sportif auquel la requérante était soumise, qui impliquait la compétence obligatoire et exclusive du tribunal arbitral du sport, exigeait que la rigueur du contrôle juridictionnel ensuite opéré par la seule juridiction ayant compétence pour contrôler les sentences arbitrales, soit le tribunal fédéral suisse, dans cette affaire, soit en rapport avec l'importance des droits individuels en jeu. Or, en l'espèce, la Cour a constaté que l'examen de la cause de la requérante par le tribunal fédéral n'avait pas satisfait à cette exigence de rigueur particulière requise dans les circonstances de l'espèce.
Today's decision could impact a number of athletes in her own sport and have ripple effects across international elite sports as a whole. Amateur boxing is one sport that could be impacted immediately due to the controversy surrounding Algerian Olympic gold medalist Imani Khalif and Taiwanese Olympic champion Lin Yuting. World Boxing, the newly formed governing body, ordered Khalif to submit to sex testing in May before she's allowed to compete, with the World Championships coming up in September. This also comes at a time when FIFA is looking at their new policies, and the IOC and their new president, Kirsty Coventry, who in the past has deferred to the governing bodies, are now looking to take a more active role in making these policies in regards to trans participation and differences in sexual development. Elsewhere, on June 1st, the English Football Association revised transgender inclusion policy came into effect. Now, most of the attention surround the elimination of transgender women and girls, conforming to the ruling of the UK Supreme Court back on April 16th. But over the weekend, a revision to the regulations confirmed that transgender men in the sport will face a restriction that most, if not all, would find demeaning. For trans men to play in men's competition for the upcoming 2025-2026 season, prospective players will have to sign a declaration stating, quote, "I am a biological female whose gender identity is male or non-binary," and further sign on to an understanding that there are physiological differences between adult biological females and adult biological males. As a result, adult biological females have a greater risk of injury when playing against adult biological males than when playing against adult biological females. Now, one trans man in particular, Arthur Weber, the blogger and author, was also captain of Truck United FC's historic first all-trans masculine team in the first known match of against its kind against an all cisgender male side back in 2023, had this to say in a blistering column for Trans Voices. Weber criticized the FA for what he claimed would prevent every trans man from participating. He called it an essential de facto ban. He said, quote, "I actually spoke to trans men and trans masculine people who play football with cis men. Every single one said they disagree with the way the declaration was worded. This document is transphobic to its very core. It is abundantly obvious that the FA did not consult any trans men on the language change or we would have told them where to stick it. As a trans man who exudes football from his every pore, I am utterly repulsed that the FA are behaving this way. They should have changed their tagline from "for all" to "for cisgender people only." The FA has no official count on the number of trans men who are registered as players. Officials for the governing body have made no further official statements on the revisions, but have previously stated that they're starting to look at sanctioning mixed gender leagues for the 2026-2027 season. Here in the States, the California Department of Education and the California Interscholastic Federation said Monday that the current Trump administration, that they will defy the current Trump administration executive order, and the state will continue to allow trans women and girls to compete in female sports at the scholastic and intercollegiate level. The U.S. Department of Education and the Federal Office for Civil Rights allege the California state governing body, the CIF, violated Title IX with their policy and said the state had 10 days to comply with an order to ban trans girls. That was on June 27th. Well, on July 7th, they were, after being told that the terms of the order would be similar to the University of Pennsylvania, California DOE's General Counsel, Len Garfunkel, was completely defiant. He sent a strongly worded letter back to the U.S. DOE, essentially saying what the governor of Maine said: "We disagree. We'll see you in court." Now, California has recently been in the news in part because of A.B. Hernandez, the junior jump specialist from Jurupa High School, who won 2 state championships and finished second in a different event at the recent CIF High School Championships, and drew the ire of President Trump and U.S. Secretary of Education Linda McMahon, and of course the professional transphobes from
Karens Against Women's Sports, because we don't really care about women's sports. We're here for the transphobia.
Was at the center of a lot of this controversy, and in part of the reason why we're here right now. California is stressing that the current policies of the CIF are in line with California's human rights laws. In response to California's decision, the Trump administration has filed a formal lawsuit against the California Department of Education and the CIF. Now, one wrinkle to this is what's coming in October. The United States Supreme Court will be looking at this issue under petitions from the states of Idaho and West Virginia, who have both passed the so-called Save Women's Sports Act. They expect a decision on those Supreme Court cases to come up around this time next year. When we return to Transposition Sports, we have a golf nut named Benni Wescott. She says golf is her being. Golf is her jam. And she joins us to talk about how golf is factored in to her journey. And we look at the human side of all these recent stories and what Pastor Semenya says about all of us. This is Transposition Sports. I'm Karleigh Chardonnay Webb. More on that, but we're going to ride into the break celebrating my favorite team. Connecticut Ambush, playoffs this weekend. Go black, go orange. Let's do this thing.
I interrupt Transposition Sports because I'm cute and I can. And for this message from the angry gay grandpa. You don't pay me enough for this, Karleigh.
So maybe I'll start a little bit softer.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine.
Dad?
Before you say anything, I just want to apologize for what I said this morning. I've been doing a lot of thinking, If you want to change your name, if you want to wear a dress,
It's a skirt, Dad.
skirt. I don't know the kind of support you need, but let's get you some for all this transgender stuff.
Wait, are you serious? Dad, what is this?
Oh, this is me supporting you. This is me saying I love you. This is me not losing you.
Love you, Dad.
Love you. Holly.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine.
Welcome back to Transposition Sports. I'm your host, Karleigh Chardonnay Webb, and this week, spotlight interview, and you're going to enjoy this one. I have two rules about transition and playing a sport. Rule number one is you transition to live, not to hide. And number two, if you play, regardless of what people tell you, regardless of what anyone says, keep playing because it probably means more now. In the case of our guest tonight, it meant a lot more. Now, Benni Wescott, when they're not handling production at Golf Channel and NBC Sports or running their own venture, Golf Nut Studios, this is a woman who likes her some golf. And I mean, loves to swing, and it shows. And most recently, at World Pride in Washington, D.C., she showed out. And I mean showed out. And her story happened to reach the sports desk at Outsports, and did a little bit more digging and found out she really showed out. And want to know more? We brought her on tonight. Benni Wescott, welcome to Transposition Sports. How you doing?
I am doing okay. Thank you very much for having me, Karleigh. It's a pleasure to be here. You're beautiful, and I have not listened to your media or your content, but I will now. And thank you for everything that you do. It's God's work, so you're doing great.
I'm trying, and I'm flattered. Thank you. Now, how much do you love golf?
It's literally my life, so a bit. I've been playing since I was 6, so for 22 years. And like when I came out and transitioned, I took a step back from working in the industry, but like I'm thinking about going back in. I just can't stop playing. It's literally like a part of me. It's in my blood too, so it's something that I just can't get away from. And it's like therapy. So yeah, to say the least, it's my life.
Take me through your round at World Pride. You shot a 74.
Yes.
From what I hear.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of rocking the house. Take me
Thanks.
through that round.
For me, it was rocking the house because a couple of days before I had driven down 8 hours and I hadn't played too much golf. So to jump into a competitive round and shoot that low, like I wasn't expecting to do anything crazy. I just like got in the zone. I walked rather than take a cart. So I was more in like the fluid routine of how I normally play. I was like, okay, I really want to do well. I wanted to come in at least top 10. I ended up coming in 3rd overall, which was very special. And yeah, it was very wet that week. I mean, the East Potomac golf course is in between 2 rivers, and you can see the Washington, the monument from the golf course. And there's a lot of rain. So we played the ball up, meaning if you hit it in the fairway or really anywhere that week, we got to lift it off the ground, clean it, and put it back. So that definitely helped because the conditions weren't that great. But yeah, I played with a gentleman named JP. He's from South America. He used to play professionally on the European tour. And then I played with another guy. His name is Gus. He's down in North Carolina and he's a part-time pro. And I played from the men's tees. Since transitioning, I've lost a ton of distance. So I was like hitting it way behind them all day. Like I was first person to hit second every hole, basically. So it was intimidating, but my short game was great and I kept up with them. So it was fun.
So wait a minute. You mean to tell me you weren't driving like Tiger on those tees? Because you know what they say about us.
What's
Those
that?
those those trans women are driving off. They're going to be driving off the men's tees 400 yards, and they're going to the ball's going to go into geosynchronous orbit. All the nonsense.
Yeah, all of that nonsense.
Yeah, all the nonsense. But what was the one shot that you say that was my Jim Nance shot right there? That was
Um,
my shot.
I'd say that shot for me that day, well, I wasn't keeping score. There was only one scorecard per group. So I was like, okay, well, that's fine. I can kind of forget about my score and the other person. He'll keep it for me. But we would say after every hole and coming down the stretch, I didn't know what the other guys were shooting because they weren't keeping their score. I wasn't keeping their score. But it was our second to last hole. I knew I was relatively close. So I came in third at 74. Person in second shot a 72. The person in first shot a 69. So I was out of first by 5 shots. So coming down to the last couple holes, I was like, okay, I feel like I'm relatively close based on how it feels like we're playing. But so there's this shot. It was our second to last hole. I was like, okay, I'm really close. I need to make a birdie. And so I had about 210 yards into the hole. I hit a 5-wood, super high, towering, straight shot, landed about 8 feet, rolled up to about 6 feet, and I made the putt for birdie. So that was, and I almost cried after I hit that shot from the fairway because I was like, damn, she still got it.
Birdie.
Yeah, it
Talk
was
about that.
fun shot.
Talk about that feeling when it was talk about that. You just said you damn near cried.
Mm-hmm.
Take me back to that. What was it like when you realized I just hit the bird? Hey, tweet. I just hit a bird.
It was probably actually one of the most proud moments I've had since coming out. I mean, to play in that event meant a ton, and to compete in it meant a ton, especially playing from the men's tees with the guys and being outdriven all day, but be able to be close to them. And given that I haven't played competitively in eons, and to still be able to get into that zone as athletes, I'm sure there's that flow in that zone when you're playing really well, and to just be able to jump back into that when I needed to, and to hit that shot and do what I needed to in the moment. It was kind of like a holy crap, I just the feeling of love for golf kind of exploded in my heart because I'm like, I've done this for my whole life and I still can't get enough of it, even in instances like this where I'm nervous and there's something on the line. But yeah, it was cool.
Which hole was that?
It was hole 16. It was a shotgun start, and we started on 18, and our finishing hole was on 17, and it was my second to last hole of the day, so it was hole 16. If that makes sense.
So a birdie at 16, really the 17 in a lot of ways if you're looking at shotgun start. But
yeah,
but
I was like, I thought to myself, okay, I don't know necessarily where I stand, but I know I'm close enough that I have to do something here. I have to pull off a shot and make a birdie. And I stuck it from 210 yards with a 5-wood. I was like, oh my God, that was fun.
When you're in that zone, do you hear golf commentators in your head?
No, I hear nothing.
Oh, so you're a clear the mechanism kind of athlete. You don't hear it, it's just you, the course, the wind, and you don't even think about anyone else.
If anything, it's just my breath. I just try to feel my breathing and my heart rate and just try to get it to a place where I'm not I'm just so in the moment. It's just so calm. That's how I play my best golf.
Being in the moment. How has the love of this game, of this sport, affected your transition? Where did golf factor in, if it factored in?
Well, when I came out, I decided to get out of the golf industry because I just didn't think that it was the safest place for my mental health. Because if you can guess, think about it, golf is filled with older white guys who tend to vote Republican. So I thought to myself, well, this isn't a place that I want to be changing and always be on high alert with my nervous system. So I decided to get out of the golf industry, and I was devastated. I was like, I'm never going to be in golf again. And I was so sad. But over the year and a half or so that I've been transitioning, I've realized there's a lot more support and love out there in golf. Then, I mean, there's a lot of hate too, but there is also a lot of love, which keeps me really wanting to get back into it. I haven't jumped back into it quite yet, but I will eventually. Like, it's inevitable because it's just like a part of me. It's like my destiny to be in the golf industry, despite like all of the challenges that I'm going to face. But yeah, and transitioning and my golf game wise has been wild because like I hit the ball so much different now. I have to play different because I can't swing the club quite as hard. Like I can't take a full whack at it because my muscles can't do the same thing as they used to. So it's been an interesting change to say the least. So
Actually, that was going to be my next question. I mean, and expand on that. What are some of the adjustments? Where was your game at before? And what are the adjustments you had to make to still play this game now?
That's a good question. Well, in college, I was exercising quite a bit, and the fastest my swing speed ever was 112 miles an hour. Since transitioning, I haven't taken my club head speed, so I don't know how fast I swing it or my ball speed. But for instance, my 7-iron, I used to be able to poke it out there like 185, a full shot. But nowadays I'm like 170, 165, 170. So that's like a full, 15 to 20 yards that I've lost just from, transitioning with my hormone medication. And I'm sure if I kept exercising hard and kept playing, I could get the swing speed back up, but it's definitely limited the way in which I can play the game, which has been really interesting.
Now, how did you get here? What was the point where you said, you know what, it's time for me to make this move?
How did I get here as in my transition?
Yes. How did you get here? Where was the point where you said, you know what, I got to do this. It's time for me to do this.
It was at a point where it was in 2022. I was unfortunately taken by the cops from my home. I was with my parents. I was having suicidal thoughts and I was hurting myself. And I went to a mental health facility for a couple days up here in New Hampshire. And then I was taken down to Connecticut for 12 days. And there is where I disclosed for the first time to the doctors, about my gender identity and learned more about myself. And at that time is when I decided to come out to my parents. And then just from there, I started to make the small changes in my life. And I wasn't thinking about golf at the time when I came out. Like it was just for like survival and my safety. But then once I started to think about like, wait, my career's in golf and like who I am, it was hard. It was a hard pill to swallow. But I do hope that like in the future, hopping back into golf, like I can be a beacon of inspiration for some young people, because I know there's other trans golfers in the world, like Haley Davidson. I've talked with her a couple of times. She's down in Florida. She's a warrior. She's incredible. I know someone out in Australia, as well as another young trans woman who's from Toronto, Canada, who loves to play golf. And I'm like, with where I'm at in golf and what I have done in my career and maybe getting back into the folds of golf, I will be visible, which scares the shit out of me, honestly. But it also is it's like a badge of honor being out there, being seen, because I know that there's people that support me and the people who don't, they have something to learn. They have a lot to learn, actually. And I think golf is an avenue in which can have a lot of impact in regards to somebody like me being visible in the sport. So I'm trying not to overthink that, but I know when I hop back into golf, it'll definitely be different than before. That's for sure.
How do you feel about where the temperature is in society right now?
It's a lot of either you see people like us and they're unbothered, or the people are uncomfortable and there's something that comes out of it. I did hear a few slurs pointed my way when I was down there, which was interesting because it was a super diverse golf course, so many different people, but I heard a few of the F words, and I don't know, it's a kind of a quieted temperament, I'd say, because like people are biting their tongues. They don't they only know what they know. But like, I think people like want to be mean sometimes, but they bite their tongues, but you can just like feel it. I don't know. I'm big on like picking up on like energy and like and stuff like that. But the people who are sweet and the people who are kind will come up and say something and be supportive, and like they can tell. Like there's been a few times I'm on the range and some, I guess, older gentlemen or whatnot, there's a lot of old guys in golf, they'll come up and compliment my swing, and then they'll like start talking to me, and they'll be very, very sweet and very kind, which is like reassurance that it's an okay place to be. I don't have to be scared all the time.
But are you scared of kind of the way things are going? Just away from that moment, away from that bubble.
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said no. But that's the thing. Like, that's why, like, people like Haley Davidson and people like you and people like me out there being proud and playing the sports we love. Like, it's hard right now, but like, we're starting to make the little bits of change that need to happen over time for us to be included, supported and loved in sports, because we deserve to play as well. And yeah, it's what's it like for you? Can you give me, what's it like for you? Like,
what's it like for, you're asking what's it like for me?
Yeah. As a black woman. And,
I'll say this, being black, being trans, being in sports,
mm-hmm.
At one level, I'm definitely afraid of the society we're in right now. I like you just said, I'd be lying if I say I wasn't. And I've had some rough experiences in sports, but the experience that I've had playing, for example, playing football the last 3 years, it's been beautiful. I mean, just like you had that moment on the 16th, knowing you needed a birdie and you nail it, I've had many of those moments my last 3 years playing football, in part because of the people who were around me, the teammates I had around me. All cisgender women, all cisgender coaches, a team administrator and a team owner, all cis. And not only, they were not just affirming, they were loving. It was truly a team. So to answer that, I've had that, and I've had that moment. But also I have a question, because I also know you do a lot of creative work. Recently you did, I mean, there was that beautiful thing we were talking about before we started the interview, you at the Pink Pony Club. Mm-hmm. That was gorgeous. I happened to check something out. I ran across on YouTube just looking around, and there's this video from Golf Bug Studio that is hashtag just keep swinging. I was watching, I was wondering is that Benni Wescott? Yes. That is you?
Yes. So that's me.
That is you. And I got to say, the swing was really, really nice. That is a good, I mean, I'll admit, I have a lousy swing. I could use a swing doctor. Yes. Yes. Want to volunteer? You want to volunteer for that job? Mm-hmm. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because because there's one thing here at Transposition Sports. You see, at Transposition Sports, we have a tradition. And it's a very important tradition that we've had ever since the show started. You see, at Transposition Sports, if you've never seen the show before, one thing you have to understand is we do show highlights. And you know what? We do show yours. We do.
I've been on the verge of posting more like swing videos and golf content, but actually yesterday I just deleted my socials again. I'm going to take some time away, but yeah, this was a good swing. This was a great drive and a good hole. It was almost a birdie, but
first off, can we talk about the fits? Can we talk about? No, we need to talk. We need to talk about the golf wear.
Sure, I thrifted the skirt. I love it. It's like checkered. If you can see it in the video, it's like Finnish flag checkered. It can be versatile. I can wear it front ways, back ways. I love it too. And then the top is just kind of like a multi-strapped back that it was a gift from somebody, and then just a Callaway visor, and got some new golf shoes that I love. But yeah, I love golf fashion. That's something I'm definitely getting more into too.
See, now that's one thing. You're about the fourth person I've interviewed who's also talked about the fashion of it, the fashion of the sport. But actually, and I've got to admit, I like the fits. But now, walk me through this swing. What makes this so sweet, and what can I learn from it?
So I'd say my posture is something that I've been working on a lot. Not too much bend at the knees, and just nice smooth tempo. Like, you never want to be too quick in golf. Like, sometimes we just want to hit it really hard. But the smoother we swing it, and the more we're able to find the center of the club face, the better it's going to go. So lately I've just been trying to swing it smooth and like not overswing, because I can't. Like, my muscles nowadays aren't letting me overswing the club, which has actually helped my golf game, I would say. I'm not like trying to muscle everything and just hit everything super hard, like testosterone aggression. I'm not like, it's now, like a bit easier swinging. So
coming into the home stretch on this, first, how do you answer to people who will say, you know what, Wescott, you have an unfair advantage. It's unfair. Your 74 was built from an unfair advantage. How do you answer to that?
That's something that, from now and then even from that round and going forward, I played from the men's tees. So if there's any sort of like, people want to say, oh, distance advantage, like I played from the further back tees, so that doesn't make sense. Also, I'd say, like, I know people like tall cis men who are super jacked, hit it 320 yards. They pipe the ball, they hit it super far, but they can't putt to save their life, and they'll still shoot 85. There's just like this like stigma and predisposition that men are better at women in sports, and then they like take that and pour it on cis women, trans women, and then they say like, oh, you're just biologically better. It's like, no. In certain sports, there's certain nuances to sports, but they're trying to also like get rid of trans women in darts, and chess, stuff like that. Like, but also, like, I could go out there, and if I were to play with, compete with cis women in tournaments, if I did hit it 20 yards past everybody, I could still shoot an 80, and they could all still shoot like low 70s and beat me. So like, there's an athleticism portion that people are totally forgetting. Like, you can be super strong, but still suck at sports. So like, people need to understand that it's not just about like the levels of hormones in your body. You have to be good at something in order to compete. And like, that takes skill, and like, that can't necessarily be taught, can be taught, but like, there's natural athleticism, that people are just totally throwing out the window and saying, oh, you were born with a penis, you're automatically better than that person. It's like, wow, you are way off the rails in understanding sports. And that's the thing. People who say that stuff aren't really athletes. They're just keyboard warriors and people who just need something to argue about.
And the exit question, what's next for you? Coming off this great round and this beautiful thing, and just seeing the glow coming off your skin and the glitter in your eyes as you describe this. What's next for you in the game and outside the game? What's the next big thing?
The next big thing, I have no idea, honestly, in regards to golf. I feel like one day I'll get back into content creation. I think it'll be where I'm sharing my story. I do feel like at some point in my life, I will get to the place where I feel comfortable sharing on platforms and being in the golf space, because I know I have support and love there. But I guess it's really just trying to become as good of a golfer as I can. Like, I'll just go out and play after work, and try to get my handicap down as low as possible. And then, there is something I'll share. It's called the Creator Classic. It's a series of golf tournaments where there's these content creators in the golf space, people like Roger Steele, there's Paige Sporanic, Claire Hogel, there's hole-in-one trick shots. There's a few different people that I like to follow on social media who all create great content, and have been selected to compete in this tournament called the Creator Classic. And they hosted it at East Lake Golf Course down in Atlanta during the Tour Championship. They played at the Philadelphia Cricket Club up in, well, obviously Pennsylvania, and then they played down at TPC Sawgrass the Wednesday before the Players Tournament. That definitely is something that's growing, and my goal is within the next couple of years get my game into a place and my content in a place where I'm selected to play, and I would love to win. Like, I know I can. Like, I've shot some low scores in tournaments, and I know I can get to that spot. And I think that would really like inspire a ton of people. And so my goal is to win the Creator Classic.
Well,
you can look it up on YouTube. It's a whole series, and it's growing, and I'm inspired by those people on there. And I know that, working my butt off to get there and to hopefully come in top 5 would be my goal. But I think it's something that I can do, and it would have a pretty positive impact.
Well, as you take your cuts there, we're going to follow you. Benni Wescott, it's been an honor. It's been a privilege. Thank you for being on Transposition Sports.
Thank you very much for having me, Karleigh.
The beauty of that interview for me was the gleam in Benni Wescott's eyes as she described the shot that got her on the podium. The love of the game, of being there, of being a part of a sport that she lives and breathes, and now she can truly live it and breathe it as her best self. That is what sports should be about. If you're of a certain age, a certain phrase that you heard perhaps every Saturday and Sunday. Jim McKay's perfect baritone talking about the human drama of athletic competition. The human drama. Human. Athletes are just that, human. I have a friend, Jason Mercurio. He's a young trans man who's a budding activist and theoretician on these issues. And when he heard about the FA's demeaning, hindering, nasty ruling against transgender men, he had some things to say. He said, quote, "This is way bigger than just demeaning to trans men. Can't anyone see that? It's more than demeaning. These men are being forced to be traitors to all trans people. Because the Declaration is basically saying that trans people don't exist. It's bioessentialist, eugenicist, racist garbage." You think that sentence is too stern? Too bad, because there's a lot of truth in it. Especially when we're talking about Caster Semenya. Believe me, if we were talking about Keely Hodgson, this hits different. If we're talking about Laura Muir, it certainly hits different. You know it and I know it. And only Avery Brundage or a fool, I know, redundant phrase, say otherwise. But there are those who are seeing the human side of all this, and they speak on it. I have another person I hold in high regard. Once upon a time, she was an Australian middle distance runner named Madeline Pape. Madeline Pape was a World University Games champion at 800 meters in 2009. That same year, she competed in her first World Championships. And in her heat, in the 800 meters, there was also a young gun from South Africa named Caster Semenya. Semenya ended up winning the heat. Pape finished 6th. But Pape, throughout the years, crossed paths with Semenya at meets again and again. And along the way, as the controversy surrounding this young budding champion grew, Pape got to know this person, got to know their story, but also studied the issues. Now, that young Australian then is far removed from competition, but not removed from sport, and certainly not removed from this issue. She's known as Dr. Madeline Pape these days. She's a noted writer and theoretician on matters of gender and equity in sport. And a few months ago, she was sitting in a panel in Geneva, Switzerland, and she talked about this human side of this issue involving athletes who are human.
Sport as a mirror of social norms, but I think it's actually really important to recognize that sport shapes social norms. It's a very active institution in the way that in how we form our own ideas about gender. And so that's why actually a lot of anti-trans organisations have specifically targeted sport. It's not an accident. They know that people have very strong emotional investments in the way that we have built narratives about binary female-male difference in sport, that there is, somehow a bright line in between women on one side and men on the other, which is just an artifact of how we've organised sport, from a very young age. And that's, for me, the really troubling part is that all women are shortchanged by this narrative. The problem, and I think that, Halba mentioned this too, it's not trans women that are the problem undermining women's experiences in sport. It's the fact that sport remains male-dominated, that women are not valued to the same degree as men. They're not paid the same. They don't get the same opportunities. They experience harassment, violence, abuse, a lot of online harassment in sport, which is obviously also the experience of boxer in Paris. Sorry, Karleigh in Paris. So we need to work together, and I think that was a really great message at the very beginning of this movie or this documentary as well. Was that we shouldn't be in competition. We've got to be in solidarity and really reveal the fact that gender inequality in sport continues to be what undermines equity and fairness for everybody.
You just heard why I revere and respect Dr. Pape so much, because in learning more for herself, she got to the derma of the human part of the issue. And my worry as a person who reveres sports, loves sports, plays sports, covers sports, is that we're taking steps back after so many decades of sports not only moving forward, but helping societies move forward as well. Do we want to go back to chromosomal testing? Well, World Athletics already is. Will we go back to naked parades? Will we go back to the 1920s and 1930s when women in sport were told, sport will make you infertile. Sport will make you a man. Back to the days of Avery Brundage. It's scary to think that in 2025, attitudes are going back to 1925. And it's not just trans athletes. It's not just differences in sexual development. We're starting to see this idea of athletes being in a box. And not just because of trans people in sports. And now trans men are being demeaned in the same fashion as you see again with the FA. But we're also seeing that in our mainstream sports. We're seeing fans who are now rallying around a player, not because they're great, we're seeing that in the WNBA right now, but because they fit a mold that certain people are comfortable with after decades of seeing people we're uncomfortable with. We're going back to the days when a tabloid can brazenly say, this player will make our girls gay. The irony of it is, the player that they were talking about back then is now doing the same thing to women like me, because we're trans and play a sport. Again, if you know, you know. I don't want to see any athlete demeaned, whether they're man or woman, whether they're non-binary, whether they're cis or trans, whatever they may be. Sport shouldn't be used to knock people down. Sports lifts people up. I know about that. I know about being lifted up because sports has lifted me up for my entire life. And this weekend, sports will lift me up again as I lift up the name of the team that I've proudly played for the last 2 years as they head into a playoff game. I'm banged up, got injured in our last playoff game. So I'm out for this one, but I'll be there down in Virginia rooting for the team. Rooting for the team and showing them love, because so many of the players and so many of my teammates have shown me that same love. That's the human drama of athletic competition. And in these difficult times, amid these difficult issues, those of us who truly revere sport need to remember the key word in that sentence, the human drama of athletic competition: human. For Transposition Sports, I'm Karleigh Chardonnay Webb.